God is cruel. The mantra echoes in my head. It isn't hard to see why this statement holds true. Society has fallen apart. Neighbors turned against neighbors. Fathers have taken blades to their sons. It is appropriately biblical. The third trumpet has sounded, and soon he will return. But the way needs to be made clear first. The thought of God's wrath cuts through the drunken haze and allows a memory to resurface. I try to bury it back down into the slurry, but it bubbles up and rises to the surface. I realize the futility, and I embrace the recollection. I remember my flock asking me why I didn't partake in communion whenever I was blessing the Eucharist. I had 3 answers to that question, depending on my relationship to them. To those in my flock that I didn't know too well, I told them that I don't like the taste of wine. That's a lie. I like the taste of wine a lot. To those that I was closer to, I told them that I used to have an issue of controlling myself when alcohol was present. That was a half-truth, half-lie. I wouldn't elaborate further on that for them. I would let them draw their own conclusions. The full truth, that I only spoke to God in the quiet of my room, was that there was nothing past tense about my alcoholism. I didn't drink the sacrament because I knew that all it took was just the taste of it on my tongue to send me spiraling back down. I know how easy it is to relapse. The past memories are inexorably linked. I cannot remember my fruitless pledge to quit drinking without recalling why I had to make that vow. I only remember bits and pieces of the night before I met him. I'd just rolled over and faced the street. I'd failed to make it back to my apartment once again. My knuckles stung and had a small crust of blood on them. I remembered splitting open someone's lip at the bar earlier, but who it was or for what reason was still murky. I really didn't need much reason, other than the sensation of laying someone low. Waking up in the street really didn't matter much to me. I was used to waking up like this. What I wasn't used to was having company. The man had just knelt down to look me over for injuries. He was likely kneeling in my urine, but he was so focused on me that he didn't notice, or didn't care. In one hand he held a bottle of water, in the other a Bible. He gave me the former and talked to me for an hour, before he gave me the latter. It didn't take much convincing to go with him. I only saw 2 choices back then. I could either drink myself to death, or make something of myself. I thought that I could transcend my weakness. I hoped that God would raise me up and give me the strength I needed. The irony of it all has not escaped me. God is not benevolent. God is cruel. We cannot escape what He has planned for us. My path wasn't the priesthood. My chosen path was not to evangelize His word. My duty was to carry out His will in another way. I had 15 years to convince myself of the lie I'd been saying every day, as a matin and a vesper. At the very end, I'd told myself so much that I'd changed that a part of me actually believed it. 15 years later, wormwood would descend and taint everything. I would relapse and revert back to what I always was. My congregation would leave me as soon as they saw what I became. I was my father's son, angry and belligerent. They found me in a gutter a few days later. My aspirations were born in a gutter, and that was where they died. The memory sinks back into the hazy mire, and I let it go. I don't need to remember. I'm better in my stupor. I haven't moved very far since everything began, and that's fine by me. I have everything I need here. The church has an old garden that feeds my habit, and keeps me under the Lord's influence. It's large enough to keep me going for a few more months. No one else visits it. The fruit tastes bitter, but most gifts from the Lord are. I wash away the taste with communal wine. The Lord provides. All I have to do is wait. I wait in the gutter. It is right next to the main stretch of road, so I typically don't have to wait long during the day for people to pass. I don't move from that spot. To do so would give away intent. Staying slumped over and seemingly in a stupor is the perfect camouflage. They think I'm one of them, and they leave me alone. I guess, in a sense, it is true. I am one of them. I am what they call a wet brainer. I don't see myself like the other alkies, though. The others are mindless, sluggish. They react to stimuli like automatons. I am not like them. Then again, they could be saying the same thing about me. I don't know what's going on in their heads, and they have no idea what is going on in mine. I am a wet brainer. But the trick lies in convincing passers-by that I am one of the harmless variety. Out of the corner of my eye, I see them approach. They both look capable enough. One is a man and the other is a woman. The man has a bit of a paunch to him. He likely has a higher tolerance than her, as he is much heavier and has a bit more of a drunken swagger to him. She is by no means emaciated, but she also has seemed to have eaten the wormwood-tainted food much less than he has. She is the first to see me. She almost stumbles to a stop, but managed to catch herself. She tugs on his shirt sleeve and points me out to him. They watch me for a few moments, as if trying to decide if I am a threat to them. The man picks up a rock and tosses it in my general direction. He isn't aiming to hit me, rather, he wants to gauge my reaction. I wait for the rock to hit the ground before I lazily loll my head in the direction of sound, before letting it sag back down. I make no other movement than recognizing that there has been a sudden sound close to me. He mumbles, "Fucking wedhead." They decide that I'm harmless. There are two types of us. Those who are basically drunken shells, who are too sloshed to even move other than when pursuing their buzz. And others who can get around, that are driven by their lack of inhibition and their baser desires. These people actually seek out the inebriating ambrosia. They assume that I am too drunk to be a threat. They are wrong. I wait a few moments for them to pass by, before I carefully rise to my feet. I am drunk, but not enough to forego caution. I stalk slowly behind them. I'm not wearing shoes, so I make little sound. They are unaware of me. I can hear them talking. The man's voice is a slur, while the woman's is barely above a whisper. She is the smarter of the two, but he is the more intimidating. He will be first. The metal bar makes a wide arc and connects to the side of his head with a heavy-sounding thunk. I feel something give way as I follow the swing through. He crumples to the ground like a puppet that has had all of its strings cut. The woman is looking forward for any sign of danger, so she hasn't seen me yet. The sound of the bar hitting flesh makes her turn to the noise. She sees her companion on the ground and connects the pieces. She reaches for something at her side, a weapon maybe. I lash out and strike her right on the forearm. I hear the bone crack under the force of my attack. She looks at the broken radius for a second, as if trying to process the information. It clicks, and she opens her mouth to scream. God is cruel. I swing the bar with all my strength and it catches her cheek just as her mouth opens up and the cry tries to loose itself from her lungs. I see a few teeth dislodge and go skipping across the pavement as she falls to the ground. She tries to crawl away with blood drooling out of her mouth. She is stronger than she looks. I can't have other people coming to investigate the sound of her burbling through broken teeth. I can handle a few people, but a group would overwhelm me. I catch up to her and raise the instrument of God's wrath high above my head. God is cruel. I bring it down on the back of her skull with all my strength, caving in her cranium. The bar stings my hand, but the communion wine helps dull the pain to a slight throb. She twitches spasmodically on the street. Through the red and white, I catch a tiny glimpse of something pink. She won't be getting up after this. She's gone to the great beyond. I turn around to where the man lies. The attack caught him completely unaware, so he was unable to anticipate the blow. He is unconscious. That'll make delivering the coup de grace easier. After I am finished with them, I will look through their belongings to see if they have anything of value. I'm sure I'll find a weapon or two, and maybe some food. Not that it'll be much use to me. In the end, it really doesn't matter if they have any valuables. After rifling through their pockets and packs, I drag their bodies over to a manhole in the street. I pry open the top and am hit by the noxious scent of decay. In the sewer system below rest my other victims that have yet to be washed away with the waste. I can't leave them out as warnings. If I am to do God's work, I need to not raise any alarms. I need to be seen as a helpless, drunken man. I am doing this because God is cruel, and we are all his begotten children. The world has forgotten the wrath of God. He brought down wormwood and poisoned a majority of the world. I am only trying to finish the job he started. Tom Waits said it best. Don't you know there ain't no devil? There's just God when he's drunk. I am the emissary for my God during his bender. These people are mine to do with as I please. I am his intent made flesh. I am his wrath and his rage. I am his cruelty. I am alive.